Hello everyone, my name is Kim. So right now I'm in the TierMaker and I'm going to making a tier list for Payday 2 weapon tier list. So I start playing Payday 2 in 2014 and right now I'm still playing Payday 2 but not the Payday 2 current version. So I play the Payday 2 original pack because I really like the old Payday 2 before the 100 update. So after the 100 update, I start playing Payday 2 like one time, 1 week. So you guys gotta ask me how about Payday 2 restorations. So the restoration is really great. I'm not gonna lie, I played restoration mod too, but after I played Payday 2 restoration mod and I start realize it's just like the Payday 2 current version, but it just add more enemy, add more winters and nerf player. That's it. But overall I kinda like, but I feel really annoying. The enemy is just too much, and I like how they add like the new winters like the Mr. Foster with flamethrower, and the captain he don't just stand like fucking idiot. And the most annoying part is the captain that he's cooking, and the poor job difficulty is have like the point of no return. So I really annoying this because some of the map it don't just fit, because the escape time is will come for the 4 minutes, but the point of no return is just, for me, I don't know what to say in English, but overall like, and yeah, another reason is the asset, because some of the assets you cannot buy in pro shop. So I mean I like it in the for the restoration, but if you guys ask me, I prefer Payday 2 original pack because feel classic, but developer he don't just add more perk decks. Well, you know, it still have a perk deck, but the perk deck is one just like boost EXP, add more money, like boost stamina or something else. You cannot buy the classic high in the Broken Contact, so this is, I feel kinda sad for this one, but you know, it's not like completely, but I feel enjoy the original pack. So let's for the TierMaker, you know. So I have been at the weapon that I have tried because my last DLC is the San Martin Banks. So after that I'm not tried because some DLC my friend he's buying for me because I'm just come back for playing Payday 2, and yeah, we both known in Payday 2 game. So yeah, he just buys some DLC, but it was just a weapon only. So yeah, this is the weapon that I haven't tried yet. So I'm gonna ranking for the weapon that I tried. So let's start for this one. I don't know what to call in English, but the M4. I don't know, but please don't correct me because I'm not good with the gun. But this weapon is like for the everyone. So yeah, if you level 0, you will use this weapon. But overall, I mean, this weapon is just give into the bad because Payday 2 just remove the silent killer. So if Payday 2 doesn't remove the silent killer, I will give this weapon to the mid. But well, they just remove this, so I just give it to the bad. For the modify and custom, I mean, if you modify this weapon for the stealth and loud, for the dodge or the berserk, I mean, this weapon is pretty bad for me. So the next one is the AK-47, but like the normal AK. So the normal AK, for me, I think like this weapon is pretty mid because, you know, you can modify and custom the normal AK like in any way for the dodge or like for the crit. So I just give to the mid, but overall, I mean like this weapon go mid for me. Yeah, for the car 4, I still give weapon for the mid, but it's just pretty good for the car 4 because it have optional. Like this weapon, you can make this weapon for stealth, for damage, or for dodge build. So I just give this to the mid. So the arc, I give this to the bad because before Payday 2 get 100 updates, this weapon is pretty okay because I feel, if I can remember correctly, this weapon is very bad. It's mean like it's pretty bad. But after the I don't know which update, but the Butcher Mod Pack DLC is the free mod pack. So this weapon have like the custom that it just boost damage. This weapon is completely fine to play like in the overkill and death with difficulty. But after the 100 update, the Payday 2 that is add more enemy maximum from 30 to 60. So you got to shoot like almost everything, and the ammo pickup rate, this weapon is really good, but for the current Payday 2 version, this weapon is very bad. So, but if the original pack, I haven't tried this, but I think it's pretty okay. But currently Payday 2 version, I give this to the bad. So the M16, I feel kind of mid, but well, the ammo pickup rate is very terrible, but the damage is very good. But the modify and a lot of things else for M16 for Payday 2 current version, the weapon is kind of mid. Well, it's not doing pretty much for me. But before 100 update, I think this weapon is kind of mid because the problem for this M16 is about the ammo pickup rate. It's very terrible, but the damage output is very great for me. But well, overall, this weapon is kind of mid. It's worth more than M16 and normal AK because it's about ammo pickup rate. That's it. So the heavy AK, this is what I'm gonna call, just like M16s, but it's good about like ammo pickup rate for the M16. This is what I can feel for this AK. So the golden AK is it's just like this AK, but well, it's just like from the normal AK, but it's gold. But well, I think it's just good more than like M16 is what I know. So the AK-15, I mean, it's mid, but it's good more than for the Carrefour and AK because this AK is have the terrible ammo pickup rate, but the damage and the modify and the custom are really great. I mean, this AK is pretty good, but it's not good for the dodge build. But if you use like the berserk build, this weapon is kind of good. But overall, the couple and the normal AK is pretty good for the berserk player or crit player. So this weapon is very bad. But if I gotta give this weapon for the before 100 edit, this weapon is kind of mid. So it's just kind of mid because this weapon is like, it's pretty fun for use. I mean, like, it's not underrated weapon back in the day, but this weapon is kind of like for like some people might use this weapon. But if I gotta give this weapon for the current version, I will give this to the bad. So the Lion rifle, I mean, it's very good, the damage and overall, but the downside for this weapon is about the real speed. So I might give this weapon for the for this. Like this weapon, damage, accuracy, and stable is great for this weapon. So this weapon, I don't know, because like this weapon is quite popular for the crit player, so I might give this for the STF. I might say I haven't tried this weapon for the crit build, so this weapon is very bad for me. Not gonna lie, for the Payday 2 Korean version. But for the before 100 update, I might give this one is kinda okay. But this weapon before 100 update, I use this weapon like for some times. But overall, I give this to the okay. But for the Korean version, I give this weapon to the bad. So the Lion rifle, I don't know what to call, but well, it's kinda okay. Well, I mean, it's pretty mid for me. The ammo pickup rate is very good. Damage is very normal. Accuracy, normal. Stable is very normal. But overall, I give this to the mid. So the M14 is kind of mid for me for the current version, and for the before 100 update version is gold sniper. It's very mid for me for every way. I might give this weapon to the mid. So the Scar, I want to give Scar for the mid, but for the Payday 2 current versions is very bad. But for the before 100 update, I might give this weapon to the mid. But for the current version, I give this to the bad. So this weapon is really okay for the before 100 update. It's just like, well, for I can remember for the old version, it have like the single shot for like for the Carrefour and for the AK. So this three weapon is really popular for the single fire because it deals a lot of damage, but the downside is you cannot shoot two shield, but well, it's really good for kill everything, like you can handle this sniper, you one shot almost everything, but the downside is you cannot shoot to shield wall, and yeah, for the downside is the ammo pickup rate. So for this weapon, for the current version, I give this to the bad. This weapon, I might give this weapon to the okay, but I haven't tried this weapon in the Payday 2 current version, but overall, this weapon is pretty okay for me from the Payday 2 current version and before 100 update. So this weapon, yeah, my friend buy this weapon and I have tried this weapon. I think I go this weapon to the mid because I don't know, but if you want to use this weapon for the high difficulty, you can change the mode for this weapon for the normal death fight to the high death fight. So for the normal death fight is deal good damage, but for the high death fight for this weapon is deal like the low damage. But for me, I mean this weapon is, well, you know, I can't get this weapon to the bad because it's not worth for use for me. I don't know, but this weapon is kind of mid for me. So yeah, this weapon is the most underrated weapon back in the day, but for this weapon, for the Payday 2 current version, it's just very fucking bad. But back in the day, this weapon is really underrated before 100 update because the downside for this weapon is the damage. But overall, the consumer's accuracy, the stable, everything, this weapon is perfect. But for the current version, is very bad. But if I give this weapon for the before 100 update, I might give this one for the okay, because like few people will use this weapon, but you know I'm ranking this tier for the Payday 2 current version, so I give this weapon to the bad. For me, it's just really bad because well, it's really bad for the Payday 2 current version. So this is really underrated for the Payday 2 before 100 update. Because well, this weapon, a lot of people don't use this weapon because it's non-auto fire. It's just the single fire for this weapon, but it deals the great damage, LC, stable, everything is great, and the consumer is very great for this weapon. But a lot of people will use this weapon for boost consumerance. If I gotta give this weapon for the own version for the Payday, I might give this to the S tier. I mean, this weapon is very great for every way. The ammo pickup rate is very great, but for the current version, it's really fucking bad, you know, like seriously. Yeah, this weapon, I mean, it's not underrated that much, but the ammo pickup rate is really great, but the damage is very mid for the old version for the Payday. So yep, it's very bad for the Payday 2 current version, but if I give this weapon for the old version, I might give this weapon to the mid. But overall, I give this weapon to the mid. So the grants, I mean, this weapon is for me technically, like because in the crypt is have 8 bullet, but if you I cannot remember the skill name, is have like 22, but pretty bad for me for the like for the high difficulty for me, but I think it's very bad. So the little fan I think is very good for the berserk build because it have grenade launcher. From I expect for the grenade launcher it's deal like 1300 damage, so it's one shot shield for the death rate because I haven't tried the death sentence difficulty because it's bullshit. Everything is just bullshit for me, so I pay all the death wish. So but overall this weapon is tier for me. So this weapon, if I give this weapon for the own version, I might give to the S tier because this weapon is kinda underrated weapon for the own version because this weapon, a few people will use this weapon. For the downside for the own version for this weapon is like for the accuracy or the stable because this weapon is deal a good damage, but this weapon is have a problem with the accuracy or the stable. So for me, this weapon is very underrated for the own Payday 2, but for the current version, yep, it's very fucking bad. Format, yep, this weapon is the S tier for the own version, but for the current version is fucking bad. So this weapon is terrible for the old version, and the current version is fucking terrible. For the Akimbo, this weapon is very fucking S tier. I mean, like back in the day, after the overkill add the hitman perk deck and add the fugitive skill tier, this weapon is overpowered like for the Akimbo player. But overall for curry version is pretty okay for me. Because after Payday 2 that add like the shield and sniper enemy, the Akimbo build is very terrible for me because I'm the Akimbo player the Akimbo pistol player. But after the Payday 2 just add the new enemy. But like Akimbo build is really terrible. So I may give this weapon pretty okay. So this weapon is really S tier for me for the Akimbo SMG player. So this weapon is really good damage, but the ammo pickup rate is kinda terrible for me. But overall this weapon is really great. So yeah, this weapon. For the Akimbo shotgun, this weapon is okay for me. Because I have tried this because I have tried this weapon is pretty okay for me. So this weapon it's kinda mid. But back in the day, far I can remember the breaking news update. This is far I can remember update. It have like the skill for the enforcer that if you have this skill, the bullet for the shotgun magazine. And yeah, this weapon is got bug, like it have like probably like 20 bullets. And this weapon is kind of fucking broken for that time. But after that, Overkill just patched this weapon. After that, it just it's kind of mid. SMG, this weapon is kinda okay for me. It's not that great, but pretty okay for me. But for this weapon, I give this to the mid. So, this weapon is the real fucking deal. Like, for the grenade launcher, you got to aim a little bit because if you shoot for the explosive gonna land. But this weapon is really fucking broken because if you shoot, it just goes straight forward for no reason. And yet this weapon can be critical. Only 2 grenade launcher that can be critical. So this weapon have really good damage back in the day. And it can be critical, so this weapon is really fucking broken back in the day, but right now it's just pretty mid. I can't give this weapon to the bad, but overall this weapon is pretty mid for me. So this weapon is very fucking underrated in Payday 2 own version because this weapon is just like a fucking sniper for me. It deal high damage first thing, and the ammo pickup rate is really great for this weapon. So for the on Payday 2 version, this weapon is really underrated. But for the curry version, it's really fucking bad. Because the shotgun got nerfed and this weapon is really terrible after the Payday 2 update. So for this weapon, I kinda mid because I have tried this weapon and it's really hard to use, but overall it deals good damage. But though I have tried this weapon a lot, but it's kinda mid for me. Well, this MG weapon is really great. Before the MG got buff damage. But overall for the own version for the Payday 2, this weapon is kinda okay because it's the weapon that deals the high damage for the LMG. But overall, it's kinda okay for the own version, but it's kinda mid for the Payday 2 curry version. This weapon is really fucking broken. So there was some in the Payday 2, the Akimbo weapon is really fucking broken, like it's dominate every difficulty. So this weapon is really fucking dominant back in the day, but right now it's just pretty mid for me because you can still use this weapon in like this sentence. I don't know, but it's kind of mid for me for the up nerf. Okay, so this weapon is really great in the MG patch because it have high rate of fire and the ammo pickup rate is really great. But I think for me, it's kind of mid. This is the first pistol for me. I just give this so fucking bad. The additional bar for me is very great weapon. Because this weapon is really good with the critical. But if you not use the critical build, if you go full berserk, this weapon is still really great because the standard damage for this weapon is really great. And this weapon, if you use the fire explosive. This weapon is deal the great damage. It don't just like this weapon, because this weapon is just have like the small area for burning, but this weapon is kinda have a large fire area, so I give this weapon to the S tier. So the double barrel for the secondary, I don't know, but it's pretty bad for me. It's not that great for the double barrel for the primary weapons. So the commando, I mean this weapon is really for the Payday 2 Curry version, because you got to probably like 3 shots for the bulldozer in the sentence, 2 shots for the main him and the switch. But for the old version, this weapon is really fucking overpowered, because it's just like for the clear for the area like a lot of group enemies. But it's kinda okay for the Payday 2 Curry version. I mean this weapon is made for the clear the area, but if you guys gonna ask me, I will use the China buff is better than use this. But overall, this weapon is kinda okay for me for the Payday 2 Curry version. So the Compact 40 is the great weapon for the own Payday 2 version. I mean Payday 2 original pack for the Curry version is kinda okay, because the first thing, the damage is really good, and the second thing is free for the new player, because I have another account that have Payday 2 and I don't have any DLC, and I use the China buff. I use the Akimbo pistol and both Akimbo SMG. This weapon is dominate almost every heist except the sentence. So the contract, I mean I'm not a big fan for the sniper. After Payday 2 got 100 update and change the skill tree, I mean this weapon, like a lot of like dodge and critical player will use this weapon, so I might give this to the S tier. But for me, I'm not a big fan for the sniper. I give this weapon kind of mid for me. Okay, so this weapon is very good, but overall for the secondary weapon, it's kind of mid. Or for the arrow, I don't know. I'm just give weapon to the bad, because for the Payday 2 Curry version, using arrow is just the most slow ass thing. The maximum spawn is 60. Kill for the one enemy, it might take like 1 hour for killing for the one wave. I give this weapon to the bad. So this weapon, like I said, I'm not a big fan for the sniper. I give this weapon to the mid. So yeah, for the Curry version, I don't know that this weapon is from the recent pack or for the historical pack. But if this weapon from the Gunslinger pack, I cannot remember the name. This weapon is kinda made for the own version, because this weapon is very good with the stealth build. But for the Curry version, it's very fucking bad. So this weapon, I mean, it's not underrated, because I have tried to use weapon back in the day for the own version. But I feel like the ammo pickup rate is very credible. But overall, it's kinda mid for the damage, accuracy, stable, and the consummate. But the quality version, I think this weapon is kinda mid for me. Yeah, it's kinda mid. So the flamethrower for the own version, I don't know. But from I expect for player who using flamethrower back in the day for the Payday 2 old version, it can stun dozer. I mean, it don't have the animation, but from I can remember the dozer, he just stays still. He don't shoot, he don't everything else. He just stands still, and the guy he just use the flamethrower, he just shoot in front of the bulldozer. But for the flamethrower for the Curry version, I mean, it's really fucking bad weapon, because it not can stun the dozer. But for the old version, it's kinda mid. But for Curry version, it's really bad. So the grenade launcher from Assault Pack is for the old version. This weapon is very fucking S tier, because it dominates everything. Yup, this weapon back in the day, but for the Payday 2 Curry version, it's kind of mid for me. So this weapon for the secondary, I think is very bad. So this weapon is the same for this, let me find, it's for this, but I have tried to use these two weapons. It's kind of mid for me, so I give this weapon kind of mid. So for the Grim, so I have a build back in the day. For the Payday 2 Curry version, is a shotgun build, dodge plus creep build, and I will use this Grim. I use the fire shell And yeah, this weapon is kinda nominated, but it's kinda mid for me. So I'm not a big fan for the sniper. I might give this weapon to the bad because I'm not seeing a lot of people use this weapon back in the day. Far from I can remember, Gear Luncheon Pack, a lot of people use the AK-15s and PP Bisons. I mean, I see a few people use this weapon back in the day, but the current version, I'm not seeing a lot of people use this weapons. So this weapon, I don't know, but back in the day, this weapon is like a few people use this weapon. Well, I mean, I feel kind of mid for this weapon. I have used this weapon, and yeah, I mean, the little animation is quite smooth, but overall, I give this weapon kind of mid. So, yeah, this weapon is very fucking OP for back in the day. It really dominates the death sentence. But this weapon is got nerf damage, so I give this to the mid. So the RPG, I give this weapon for the S tier because, but I don't know, the RPG is still one shot the dozer, but I think it probably take like 2 shots. If the commando take like 3 shots, I think the RPG is take like 2 shots for the bulldozer, but for me this for the RPG is dominate the enemy and dominate the fucking teammates for me. So the Saiga shotgun is the fucking broken back in the day because General Badass he's make the shotgun builds with let me find with this weapon. I mean like it dominate like the death sentence like back in the day, but well I mean right now this weapon is got nerfed, so I give this to the mid. You still can use this weapon for players who have like every single DLC, but for the free-to-play player, I mean this weapon is kinda mid. Because this weapon, if you want to use this weapon, you got to have like the almost every DLC. So this weapon is the free MG, so I give this weapon to the mid. So the 5.7 is really god tier for the dodge player. So this weapon, yep, is like essentially it's good about the clip size because it have 200 round for clip. So it's kind of mid. So this weapon, I don't know, but this weapon is quite popular back in the day for the Payday 2 own version because it deal good damage and the fire rate is really good. But for the Payday 2 current version, I don't see a lot of people using this. So I might give this to the mid because, like I said, I'm not a big fan for the sniper. So this weapon is, well, it's just for joke. So for the bad for me, I don't know. So this weapon is really great, I'm not gonna lie, for the own version. I mean, it deal good damage and the fire rate is really good. So for the Payday 2 own version, I give this weapon to the S tier, but for the current version, it's just kind of mid. So this weapon back in the day, I mean, few people will use this weapon for the Payday 2 own version, but for the Payday 2 current version, a lot of people use the magazine shotgun. But well, this weapon is kind of bad for me for the current version. But for the own version, I kind of mid with the shotgun. So flamethrower for free and it's secondary, I don't know, but it's kind of bad for me. Oh yeah, I have tried to try this weapon, so I'll give it a try. So the double barrel, I seem pretty okay with this weapon for the own version. It have a great damage, but overall, I feel kinda okay with this weapon for the Payday 2 own version, but for the currently version, I might give this one to the mid. So this weapon is really good for the sniper own version, but overall, for the current version is very mid for the sniper. Like I said, I use this sniper a lot in Payday 2 own version. But you know, I'm not a big fan for the sniper, so I give this weapon to the mid. Yep, and I need to talk. So this weapon, I mean, is not really underrated. I feel okay with this weapon. The downside for this weapon for the own version is the little speed. I mean, it have a 6 rounds, but it deal a high damage. so you can clear the wave for the 6th round. But I mean, if you use this weapon after you using this weapon, and yeah, you're not gonna reload it because it might take a fucking year to reload. So after you shoot the 6th round, after that you use the secondary for the entire heist for me. But for the old version, I give this weapon to the okay. I mean for the mid, because the downside is the reload speed. But for the old version, this weapon is kind of mid. I mean, if this weapon can be critical, I might give this weapon to the okay, but I mean this weapon is going to be critical, so I give this to the mid because the downside for this weapon is the reload speed. So this weapon is really made for me for the old version Payday 2. I mean the weapon can be creep, but overall it's kind of mid for the old version, but for the current version I give this weapon to the mid. So I don't know that this weapon from the historical, but if this weapon from historical, I mean it's just kind of bad for me because, well, so this weapon is the free sniper. I mean technically it's just like weapon, but I mean like it's a free sniper. I mean I feel kind of mid for this weapon. Well, so back in the day I used this weapon a lot. It's just like for the XM shotgun, it's just like this weapon, but it just works like it's just, well, the stat is just probably the same, but it have low damage, low accuracy, and a lot of things. So this weapon is just very fucking bad. So this weapon, I don't know, but fucking bad. And like I said, I'm not a big fan for the sniper. So this sniper is kind of okay for back in the day from the Payday 2 own version. But like I said, I'm not a big fan, so I'll give this weapon to the mid. So yeah, this weapon is kinda mid. I mean, it's not that great because it have a 10 round for the grip. But yep, it have a low damage, and yep, this weapon it have like a few people using this weapon, but overall, it's very fucking bad. So this weapon is the ultimately like the meta back in the day, because Payday 2, the old version back in the day, we have a shotgun dodge build. So a lot of people use this weapon with a jet shotgun. So I mean this weapon is dominate the death rate difficulty. So back in the day, for what I can remember is have a Kimbo build, and the shotgun build, and the grenade launcher, and the pistol build. So this weapon is directly like the dominate the shotgun build, but the current version is really fucking bad for me because most people will use the magazine shotguns. So I mean it's really bad shotgun for me for the old version and for the current version. So it's a sniper from the case I cannot remember the name, but overall it's very okay for the old version, but it's very fucking bad for the Payday 2 current version. So the RPK is kind of mid for the old version, but if Silent Shoulder is still in Payday 2 current version, I give this weapon to the okay, but they just remove it. It's just pretty mid for me. So the chainsaw, I might give this weapon to the okay for the old version and the current version, because this weapon is like tool for speed run for me. Well, I give this weapon to the okay. So the AA12 is kinda mid for old version and for the current version for me. I mean, it's technically like it's not good as for the Saiga shotgun, but overall for the old version and for the current version is kind of mid. Oh yeah, this weapon is really great, but well, for old version, if I gotta give this weapon, I will give this weapon pretty okay, but for the current version is pretty mid for me. For the Thanatos, yeah, this weapon is the S tier for the old version. This weapon is the ultimate the Bulldozer and SWAT turret anti. Because back in the day, if that high have a SWAT turret, so most people will use this Thanatos for the main weapon, and the secondary is the RPG for the SWAT turret anti. But for the curly version, I mean, is kind of mad. I mean, like, most people will use Thanatos for the heal reserve, but I mean, like, it's not very much worth for using. I give this weapon to the mid. So the judge, yep, is balance. I give this weapon to the S tier. For the loud, stealth, dodge, this weapon is perfect. So the minigun back in the day is pretty mid. It just, well, you know, it's just like, I don't know what to call this, because I have tried this weapon, but the range is very fucking shit, the damage is shit, but overall, for the old version is very mid, but for the current version is very bad. So the micro is just straightforward for the upgrade for the RPG, but if I have to pick, I will use this weapon because it have a high damage for the minigun. So the Peacemaker is the ultimately like for the god tier for the old version for pistol player, because I used this weapon a lot back in the day, because the weapon is almost one shot everything. It's one shot for the taser if you headshot. The downside is reload time speed. It takes years to reload, but this weapon is tier, but for the current version it's fucking made for me. So that's it, that for the Payday 2 weapon tier list for me. So from my perspective for the weapon tier list for me, I gotta count for the Payday 2 current version, because well, for a lot of people who come for the current version, but for me, I talk a lot of weapon because for the old version is really good, but I play the original pack, so I to give this one to the original pack. It's my from perspective, because I'm not pay the Desert 10 because it's like the most bullshit difficulty for me. So I give weapon from my perspective, like if you want to use this weapon is the word for using from my perspective. I mean for the Desert difficulty only. So this is my tier list. So overall, it have like a weapon that I haven't tried because I have buy this DLC yet. That's it. That for the weapon tier list for the Payday 2. So I want to do the heist because it have a lot of machine to talk. But like I mean, I see a few people making the tier list for the weapon. So I think yep, I make the weapon tier list. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys have any topic that I want to make or I want to talk, you guys can request. So see you guys in the next video. Take care.